ഓണിൽ എഴുത്തുകാരനും ചിന്തകനുമായ തുഷാർ ഗാന്ധിയുമായുള്ള അഭിമുഖം കേൾക്കാം. അവതരണം ഡോക്ടർ സാബു തോമസ്, ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റ് ഓഫ് പൊളിറ്റിക്കൽ സയൻസ്.
Welcome to Radio CU. Today we are hosting Tushar Gandhi, the great grandson of Mahatma Gandhi. And I hope that today we have a deliberation on Gandhism, Indian politics, and your personal observation about maybe the events going around the country. Well, starting from my personal point of view, I know that you are basically you are an engineer. So how you came to engage in social activities?
Thank you very much, and thank you for the warm welcome to the campus of Calicut University. I must correct you, I'm not an engineer. By qualification, I'm a printer. I did a diploma in printing technology. I think my gravitation towards a role in activism and social work was part of my legacy. It just I don't know what drew me in, but I suddenly found myself in this role and found that I was enjoying it more than anything else. So
surely it's a part of your legacy, the Gandhi legacy. When we talk about the legacy, I think it is a bit problematic nowadays, because there are statements like Gandhi is being known to the world just right now after Attenborough kind of things. So how do you feel how this generation, this state is taking Gandhism as of now?
It is a bit challenging these days, because there has been a very systematic campaign of misinformation regarding Bapu that was being carried out by the ideology that was part of the conspiracy to murder him. And so, and it hasn't been countered for a long time. So it has, many people have started believing those false accusations and allegations made against Bapu and the twisting of history thing. So it is more challenging now than it was in my young days when I was a child, when people who had lived with Bapu and worked with Bapu were still alive. And so these lies could not become as widespread as they are today. Now that whole generation has passed, so there is nobody, or very few people who are left who have recollections of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi alive. So it becomes more challenging for people like me to say the truth. But also that challenge provides the stimulus for me to speak the truth without any reservations or fear. So, although I said it was challenging, it is also very fulfilling, because now people have started understanding the campaign of lies and what it does to the society more receptively.
Exactly, I agree with you that there is a generational change. So we have a generation who does know Gandhi only through these films and this kind of things. I'm not speaking about the books. The book reading generation is almost over. So I think nowadays what we need is more awareness about Gandhi, not in terms of maybe have to get some role models kind of things, like activists like you who have to be engaged in, and you are doing it perfectly well, and thank you very much for doing that. So when you talk about this misinformation kind of campaigns, I think that recently in Indian politics, this kind of issues, maybe hate politics, is on the way. Even you yourself has been arrested last year by the Santa Cruz police in by 2023.
Yeah.
So how you understand this new politics? How you evaluate?
See, this new politics, as we like to say it, is also because of the lethargy of people like me. That we did not recognize the trends that were changing in society, and we did not respond to it in time. And that is where this radicalized ideology, this fanatic ideology, this ideology of hate became normalized. and they succeeded. I don't think even they ever dreamt that they would be this successful. And most of their success is due to people like us who intellectualized everything instead of making it mass-based. We never tried to go out. Even if you look at Bapu, when the Prime Minister says that nobody knew of Bapu, one has to understand that for a long time Bapu also was restricted to certain circles. The so-called Gandhians monopolized Gandhi all the time. And so they were not allowing him to be part of the society, but amongst the society, amongst the people and things. And so the people drifted away from him. So I blame myself for the situation that we see in today. I have this theory where I say that my great-grandfather's generation sacrificed for our independence. My grandfather's generation sacrificed to strengthen that freedom that we had won. My parents' generation worked to strengthen the family. And my generation is the lazy generation who is enjoying the benefits of all the things that our ancestors did. And we've become selfish. So we don't want to look beyond ourselves. We don't want to work for the society. We don't want to be bothered by the problems and the situations that arise in the society. Everything is, oh, it's far away from me. Why should I be bothered? If a Dalit child is killed in Rajasthan, I live in Mumbai, so how does it matter? If a Muslim is killed in lynched in UP or Madhya Pradesh or Chhattisgarh, I live in Mumbai. I didn't lynch him, so why should I be bothered about it? This attitude, why should I be bothered, is unique to my generation. And from there it has come down to the generation subsequent of mine. So I called my generation the selfish generation, which has harmed India the most.
True, because this atomization of the individual, and again with the coming of this social media kind of things, you have these thumb revolutions. You can operate a revolution with your thumb and with your mobile phone. You need to go out and see to streets. So that makes a lot of changes. But still there is as you said earlier, there is an issue with Gandhism as of present, because it's about theorizing Gandhi, or there are certain issues with the current Gandhians also. You present the Gandhism to the new generation through maybe simple life kind of things, maybe minus your chappals, kind of things, this barefooted Gandhi. So the thing is that we have to present a new Gandhi, maybe instead of idolizing, we have to be maybe bit
we have to humanize it.
Humanize Gandhi.
Yeah.
That's what.
That is what I continuously strive to do, because I think the greatest disservice to Gandhi is making him the Mahatma. And so I have made it my life's mission to debunk the Mahatma and present Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, the human being who was like us, all of us, as normal as all of us, as prone to making mistakes as all of us. And what set him apart was that he admitted his own mistakes and ensured that he would not make those mistakes again in his life. Many a times, we make mistakes and then we make excuses for those mistakes. Blame somebody else, blame the circumstances and things, and try to absolve ourselves, saying, no, I'm not at fault. But what is required is, if you make a mistake, admit that you made a mistake, and just don't say sorry for it. But when you ask for forgiveness for it, ensure that there is never a situation where you will repeat that mistake. And that is what, if you study the life of Mohandas Gandhi, then you will notice that he made mistakes, but he never repeated those mistakes. He admitted them, he atoned for them, and he never repeated them. And that is what kept making him a better person till he reached a stage where we thought that he was a Mahatma. The journey is important, not what he became, but how he became that way. is what should inspire people. And that was never told to people. It was always, oh, he was a Mahatma, he was a Mahatma. And so we made him like a god.
But again, I would like to invite your comment on a recent phenomenon, maybe about the use of religion in politics. In the days of Gandhi was religious, but it was spiritual. But nowadays, every party, you cannot exempt anybody, X and Y, all these parties use religion as a tool for appeasing people. So I think that it is going to be too bad. And how we can overcome this kind of issues, particularly.
See, politics in its, and especially electoral politics. There is politics as a theory and a philosophy, and there is electoral politics. And electoral politics is a selfish, self-serving entity. So you cannot expect ethical behavior from them. They will do what they feel is their benefit, whichever party it is. And so in recent times, they've all seen the dividends that mixing religion with politics earns. That is what is happening. They are not practicing religiosity. They are exploiting the religious belief of people. The fear of religion is being used, not the worship of religion or practice of religion. And so that is bound to happen, and when people, especially in electoral politics, see the profitability of that, they will all try to use it. But we must, the failure is that society does not realize the insincerity of that campaign and the selfishness of that campaign. Religion is supposed to make us unselfish, selfless. All religion preaches that the practice of religion will make you selfless and one with God. Over here, the practice of religion is only for selfish gains. So there is a big difference between that ideal religion and the political religion.
Yes, we have to go back to Ishra Allah Tera Naam Sabko Sanmati Te Bhagavan.
Bilkul. See, this election is the first time where religion has failed in getting electoral politics, because after the Ram Mandir, that candidate should have been victorious by the greatest margin possible, and the opponent shouldn't have got a single vote if religion had been the sincere use of religion. But local issues, the local resentment of the population, the sacrifice that they were made to give outweighed the religiosity. So this election is a watershed election in which at least some Indian electorate has said religion is a different thing and our rights are a different thing, and we will not allow you to mix those up. Okay. This is a very important message that has come out of this election. In a very small microcosm, but it is still a very heartening message that is coming out.
Exactly. Your analysis is very fine, because this 2024 election, that has made a flashpoint in democracy. Maybe our faith in democracy is still there. Our system will go like this, because after all this kind of hypes, people has made a very different choice. But still, can we make sure that this kind of hype will continue, this kind of trend will continue in future? Because the verdict is actually not so clear. You have a divided opposition on the other side, and still they are divided. So how we can manage?
No, the 24 election is just a victory in a skirmish. It is not, we have not won the war as yet. The war will have to be fought, because unless we defeat the forces of hate, the forces of divisiveness, we will not be able to really celebrate a victory. So the 24 verdict is just a victory in a skirmish, and we have to still fight a big war. We cannot become complacent, and that's why we have to constantly remind the leaders in whom the electoral rate has put their faith in making them a credible, strong opposition to the government. They will have to prove that faith that the people have put in them and earn a further support of the people. If they become complacent, if they do not perform, then this verdict is not a certain verdict. It will change. And that is the way democracy should be. The verdict should in every election be for the performance and not for the expectation. Because expectations, as you see, even the Prime Minister can't resist jumlas. So you can't expect things on dreams to materialize.
Okay, I agree with you on that point. Still, we have to maintain that hope, because every time Indian electorate is like that. They made very clear choices when things came to their domain. So our faith in democracy has maybe substantially increased through this 2024 verdict, but we have to sustain that. But for that, I think that there is a specific role for people, role models, like kind of leaders. So one thing what we are missing in politics is now maybe this ethical leadership, like we discussed earlier. They focus on electoral politics, like dividends, what they are going to get, the dividends. So there should be, I feel that there should be an attempt to mold I'm not know how to mold people, but we have to focus on this ethical leadership. That's essential. So what's your observation on?
I think what we lack is the apathy of the youth towards politics. The youth has become so disillusioned by political parties and politicians that they have sort of pushed that process away from them also. And there's a great reluctance amongst the youth to participate in the political process. I think we have to start working with the youth and make them aware that they are responsible not only for their future but for their present also. And they can become the change makers themselves. The youth today has sort of resigned itself to saying that they are of no consequences. Whereas in a democracy, it is the youth that is the most dynamic force. Unfortunately, our practices have made them sort of become indifferent towards that process. And that trend has to be changed. I would say that, and political parties will not do it because they will want to sway that vote. I think civil activists like me need to now refocus our efforts on the youth segment, because in the coming days they are going to be the most influential segment of our population.
Okay, here I have a slight disagreement with you about the political apathy of the youth. It is, I'm not thinking that it's not apathy, because these people they are very active in different areas. But when it comes to politics, what is their dividend? You can become a prime minister or a member of parliament at the age of 60, 70 or 75. So the average age of a Indian leadership, maybe it's around 60 or 70, like that. Apart from people like Rahul Gandhi or Priyanka, you cannot have very limited maybe examples. And again, coming to the gender factor also, what's the role of women in politics, maybe particularly in India? It's around 11.1 or 2-3%. And when it comes to cabinet berths, again, apart from Nirmala Sitharam or somebody like that, it's not happening. So what are the incentives for the youth to come into politics? That's a big question for them.
You see, that because the objective of politics is to get office. That has to be changed. Politics is a social movement. It is a movement for change in society, and not everybody can aspire or should aspire to political office. And unfortunately, for the youth today, such examples are very less and far between, that people have spent their entire lives working in society. I grew up, my parents' friend circle or acquaintances were, most of them were activists who never participated in the electoral process. And we used to respect them for that sacrifice that they made. They would do party work, they would do ideological work, they would do the work of mass awareness and agitation and all that. But they never, at the time of elections, they would become ordinary workers among society. Many of them were not even aligned to political parties. Unfortunately, today, political work has become separated from political work in society, meaning activism, the fight for rights, which is all political. But unfortunately, today we sort of equate political work with party politics. That understanding has to be changed, that there is party politics and there is social politics, and one can aspire to become all. The other perception amongst the youth is that politics must become a profession. Politics is not a profession. Politics is a service. And it is because it has been made into a profession that we see the corruption in politics. And that is disillusioning them, because they say, how I will never get this opportunity, so why should I waste my time? But if they realize that they can still be active politically while they have their careers, while they do pursue a professional life, if they treat politics as a service to society and work in that way and allocate time. I talk to many youth, they say, oh, mera career hai, I can't give the time. I said, if you manage your time properly, you can always give. You don't have to give, half of your time away to social activism or work. You can allocate an hour a day, 2 hours a day to do it, which is always possible. And yet achieve things that you would not normally think you're capable of. The two things that keeps the youth away today is this constant drubbing that their entire objective is to have a career and a profession, and they shouldn't think of anything else. That is the wrong thing, because right from the freedom movement, it has been seen that many of the freedom fighters were not full-time freedom fighters. They were having their professions, they were doing their work also. But they were also dedicatedly contributing towards the movement for freedom. Even after that, many of the activists who brought about changes had professional careers, and yet they balanced both the works. And the youth is fascinated by the term multitasking. But today, unfortunately, the multitasking is being active on 5 or 6 social media apps at one time. And all the other faculties of our ability have been discarded. Activism doesn't happen from social media. Opinions can be created, but activism happens when you work in society, actually.
Then what about the gender factor? Maybe
the gender factor is that is the most disturbing thing, because we take our patriarchy into all fields of our life, and that's where the discrimination subtly happens. Just this morning, there was these activists who work on the Constitution, and they have this unique experiment where they take a printing unit to schools and institutions and ask the students to actually print the preamble of the Constitution themselves and take it away with them. And they were saying that yesterday they were at a school, and when they set up the printing unit, the first group that was sent was all boys, and the girls were standing behind. So they talked to them and said, the Constitution talks about gender equality. So why are you not, making place for yourself? And they said, but the boys got precedence, kind of thing. So this mentality of men are supreme needs to be defeated. And we have to, what I keep saying is, we label everything, and then we look at that object or that person with the label attached and identify only the label, not the individual or the person or the object. We have to be able to look beyond that, because, I will only see a lady and a man. I won't see persons doing important work over here. And many a times, if there is a lady doing some remarkable work, we'll compliment her as if she's done some great achievement, which is not right, because that also shows a gender bias. They'll do a whole episode on Incredible India on a lady truck driver. So what? She just learned how to drive a truck and she's driving a truck. She's a person who's doing a profession. But you don't do a whole documentary on a male truck driver because you expect them to do that. Just because a woman is behind the steering wheel, you think it's interesting enough. So even in that, you are creating a gender label, that she is only fit for the documentary because she is a woman driving a truck.
So
these kind of this attitude needs to change.
Yeah, this kind of labeling should be done with that.
Yeah.
Again, with the political parties, we have an issue with the ideology. Parties with the sans ideology is a very big issue. Okay.
When because we are talking politics, I'll give you examples. You will see women MPs, but if you go to look at that, there will be an existing MP's daughter or sister or wife related to that MP, who are in one way just a proxy for that male figure in that political party. How many do you see who have no patrons, no mentors, no relatives in politics who have come into politics and who have been given these positions?
So, your points are very clear. So, let's come back to Kerala. You are frequently visiting Kerala, at least once in a year. So, I think that you have some idea about the Kerala politics and what's going in Kerala. So, what's your observation about the developers in Kerala, particularly with regard to this politics of religion kind of things?
Well, I'm disappointed in Kerala politics, especially after the 24 verdict, because I used to believe that Kerala was the bulwark, the fortress which was keeping the Hindutva forces out of politics in Kerala. And unfortunately in 24, it has allowed the BJP to open its account with one MP. And I'm using this term allowed the BJP because naturally it wouldn't have happened. It has been manipulated in many conspiratorial ways that the person who has been elected, I have nothing against that person. That person maybe deserves to be elected. But that the party has got that acknowledgement by the Kerala electorate, I think, is the most worrying aspect for me, because I used to always believe that no matter what, they will never succeed in Kerala.
But it's not a failure. We cannot blame the people for that.
No, that's why I made it very clear that I don't blame the people. I blame the political parties in Kerala for their selfishness in allowing this to happen.
So, personally speaking, you have a great organization, and what you people are doing to address this kind of issues?
The foundation is active more in social aspects. So we don't work directly ourselves, but we partner with local organizations that are working in the fields of education, rights, health, and justice issues. We partner with them, we provide the help that they require, and that way we do the work. The activism part I handle on my individual basis.
It's individual level, okay. So I think that Gandhi has more acceptance outside India when you look into many of these.
Because in India we only worship the image. But outside they study and work to apply the ideology to the present day requirements, and that is where they realize the importance of the man himself. Unfortunately, in India, right from the Prime Minister, the only Gandhian ideal or the worship of Gandhi is in bowing one's head and garlanding the statue.
So lastly, it's a personal question. You have been associated with the film, Hey Ram, I think. So,
Yes.
So what was your experience?
2 films, Hey Ram and Road to Sangam. In both the films, I was invited to act as myself. I appeared in the film as Tushar Gandhi. So it didn't give me much scope to act. I think the directors did not have faith in me as an actor, so he said, you come as Tushar Gandhi and be yourself and go away. But you have a better actor sitting in the studio today with us. So I will not speak on the acting. It was an eye-opener and a very educative experience, because watching films in theatres, one only sees the glamorous side of the film and the brilliance of the storytelling and all that. But when you go onto the sets, you realize the hard work that everybody puts in, and the suffering of the actors. I saw how much they had to toil in what conditions. And I said, now I will never be able to enjoy a film, because in everything I will see how difficult it is to bring that onto the screen finally. How many people have to really torture themselves to do that, bring that effect to us.
Okay, thank you very much for being with us, and it was a very productive dialogue. So your statements on particularly on dehumanizing Gandhi seems to be very innovative and interesting to me, particularly to the new generation. When you are going to present Gandhi or this new politics, we need a new approach. We have to be more ideological, and again we have to be more ethical. And well, there are serious issues with the current scenario in politics, like the issue of gender, the issue of religion, the lack of ideology. But we are on the hope that the Indian electorate, Indian people are powerful to overcome this kind of issues, maybe in a short span of time itself. So let us have hope on our democracy, and the people like you, your contributions will be substantial for this kind of efforts. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you.